The dream school, the college your child wants to attend. That's nice, but is it financially possible? If you do the planning, it very well might be. Brock Jolly, some families focus on in-state schools, assuming they're going to cost less, but talk to me about not limiting your pool of options.
Hello. Thanks, Patrice. Appreciate the question. I think one of the things that at the College Funding Coach we see all the time is families who say something along the lines of, my kid can go to any school they want as long as it's an in-state public school. And I think that the challenge with that is that oftentimes families just look at the sticker price. And so as a result, they think, well, in-state schools are less expensive than out-of-state or private schools. And in many cases, that might be accurate. But in other cases, it might be totally inaccurate. And that's really one of the challenges. It's also one of the opportunities when it comes to saving, planning, paying for college. And that's what we do at the College Funding Coach, is help families to navigate this and figure out what school is not only the right academic, social, geographic fit for the child, but also what's the best financial fit. And so just looking at that sticker price often misses the mark in terms of what might be the best financial fit for a student and or his or her family.
What are the four quadrants? You'd mentioned this to me, and I found it really interesting.
Yeah. So the key that we always walk families through is, number one, you got to draw the line in the sand. You've got to say, okay, where are we? Will my child qualify for need-based aid or merit-based aid or both when they go to school? And often that's an unknown. And so the key is to understand these four quadrants that we talked about previously that look at high need versus low need, high merit versus low merit. So drawing that line in the sand to say, is our family eligible for need-based aid or not? And simultaneously, is our child eligible for merit-based aid or not? And interestingly, the answer may depend on the school. It may be different at different schools. And so that's really the key on this, is understanding, here is our expected family contribution or student aid index. Here's the amount that the colleges expect us to pay on an annual basis. And again, it may be a different number, a slightly different number at different schools. But based upon that, then determining, okay, at this school or this set of schools that my child is considering, are we eligible for need-based aid? And if the answer to that is no, are we eligible for merit-based aid? And from there, then really navigating this and finding the schools that are the best fit for your child and your family.
And you did mention, I think last time we talked, about many times it's, does the school benefit from having your child go there if they're a great tuba player and they need that in the band?
That's right. And without nerding out too much on this, Patrice, the idea is that at maybe the top 25 or top 50 schools, oftentimes they don't give a whole lot in terms of merit aid. Every school, every student that's there, they were the valedictorian or salutatorian of their class. They were the president of this, the captain of that, the lead role in the play. They did all the things. That's why they got into that school. They're all high merit students. But those schools, in most cases, many cases, only give aid for need-based families. But then there's the next wave of schools. And those are schools that, in many cases, perfectly good schools, might be a great fit for the student, but they might need to stretch a little bit to attract the type of students that they really want to attract. And so if your student is a high merit student and your family is one that might really benefit from not paying full sticker price, these are the schools that can be a really good fit for your family, because they might say, hey, you were a national merit finalist. You got a 1,500 on the SAT. You had a 4.7 grade point average, whatever it is. They want to attract that student, right? You use the option, you're a tuba player, or gosh, maybe you can hit your driver 300 yards down the golf range, things like that. I mean, different things that equate in terms of what merit is. But the idea is, how does that school attract that student? Now, why do they do that? They do that because when it comes to US News and World Report rankings or other similar type of rankings, they want to be able to say, hey, we've got students from all 50 states and 74 foreign countries, and our average GPA is this, and we have 27 national merit finalists, all of those things that make that school more attractive. The college or university needs to find the dollars to attract those students to come to their campus.
How do you find the school that might have the need that your student offers?
The tuba player.
The tuba player.
Yeah, so there's a few different ways. I mean, I think in the financial planning or investment world, there's this adage: past performance is no indication of future returns when it comes to things like investments. But past performance might be indicative of future returns when it comes to college, because you can look at this information. There's several great organizations. One that comes to mind is called Tuition Fit, created by my friend Mark Salisbury. And that organization looks at past award letters and tracks that information and sees what type of merit aid was given to students in the past. Now, again, doesn't mean your kid's going to get it. Every one of these situations is a little unique, but it's a good indicator. That's one way. The other is through a tool called the Common Data Set. And every single college and university submits information to the Common Data Set. So you can see what is the average GPA, what's the average range, what's the average SAT score, et cetera. And that's another good way to track it. And so what I would tell you is, if you're interested in this, this can get a little quantitative. And so it's really good that you work with somebody who knows this stuff inside and out and can help guide your family through the process. Again, both merit-based aid and need-based aid, to try to navigate this to find the best outcome for your family.
Is there an appeals process? You get a letter, but it's not what you were hoping for.
You know, I've been doing this for 24 years, and it feels like so often that's the case, right? A family is expecting a certain amount of money, maybe has even jumped through all the hoops. I'll give you a great example. We worked last year with a family, and they had a dream school that was on the top of their mind. You mentioned at the beginning, the dream school, the college that your child wants to attend. That college may not want your child to attend there. There might be a disconnect on that. But this particular family, I'll allow the school to remain anonymous, but the school had a net price calculator on their website, and the family went in. They plugged in all of their information, got it exactly precise. And the school said, you're going to be eligible for about $32,000 a year of aid. And they said, wow, this is great. We could, if we got $32,000 a year for the next 4 years, we could afford to send our student to this private school in upstate New York. And then they applied to this school, got accepted, and their offer came back. And guess what, Patrice?
It wasn't 32,000.
Wasn't 32. In fact, it wasn't 3,200. It was zero. They were eligible for no need-based aid, and nothing had changed. Their information that they had put on their FAFSA was exactly accurate, exactly identical to what had been put onto the net price calculator. The problem was that the net price calculator, as is often the case, was woefully out of date. It wasn't current. But we appealed it. And we put the letter together and said, hey, this is our number one choice. We want to come to school here. We use your net price calculator. We were led to believe that this was going to be the scenario. We have offers from a couple of other schools, and we shared those offers. And this student got almost exactly what the net price calculator had said. Now, that particular school probably wouldn't have volunteered that offer, but because we asked, they got it. I'll give you another great one, and this is I always say this is one of our great success stories. It's something I'm really proud of. We've got a family, and they live in Virginia, and their son had been accepted at the University of Virginia and at William and Mary, both in-state public schools here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But guess where the son wanted to go to school?
Outside of Virginia.
not an in-state public school. His top choice was Johns Hopkins. A short drive up I-95, great school. But guess what? Johns Hopkins was going to be, I think, $30,000 or $40,000 a year more expensive at the time. So this family came and met with our organization. And what's funny is after the fact, the father sent me a letter and he said, my wife came kicking and screaming to that meeting and saying, why are we going to waste our time? We filled out all this information. They can't help us. We're not prepared, and our son can't go to Johns Hopkins. He's just going to have to slum it and go to an in-state public school like
William and
my
Mary.
alma mater. No, my alma mater of the University of Virginia.
My oldest went to William and Mary, so slumming it, yeah.
Yeah, I took no offense to that. And I said, well, if the right fit, and they went through this whole process and they said, here's what he wants to study. And this is why Johns Hopkins, like they'd clearly done their research. And I said, okay, well, let's talk about it. And as we peeled back the onion a little bit, they told me that in the late 1970s, when he was a young entrepreneurial architect, they invested in a property in Alexandria, Virginia. And over the course of, at the time, it was 40 years or something like that, they had really rehabbed this place and built it up. And this property that they probably bought for $50,000 in 1979 was now worth $2 million or something like that. And he said to me, I never put money into an IRA or a 401k. I put money into this property because to me, that was always our version of an IRA. Now, here's the deal. In the financial aid formula, individual retirement accounts do not count at most schools. But
real estate does?
Secondary real estate does. And so that's why at Hopkins, it was such a higher number that was going to count against them. I said, hey, let's appeal this. Worst thing they could do is say no. Well, they did appeal. They explained their situation. They explained their perspective. By the way, this was before a certain New York City mayor and presidential candidate gave like $1 billion to Johns Hopkins, but they've always had a lot of money. And so, look, they asked the question. And Johns Hopkins came back and gave them about $42,000 annually. And so his letter said, hey, my wife came kicking and screaming. And that hour and a half that we spent with you talking through our situation and crafting this letter saved our family $168,000 over a 4-year period.
Oh, not shabby. Not shabby.
And that family never became a client of mine, right? The interesting, because they didn't have an IRA, they had all this money in real estate. We couldn't really help them, but we helped them craft a letter, and we helped them really get to a better spot. And happy to say that their son is now graduated. He's doing great things. We've kept in touch. They actually recorded a cool testimonial for us a few years ago. So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's like those are the fun stories because those are the wins. It's like, hey, Johns Hopkins got a great student, and this family created a scenario where their child could go to that dream school, and life's pretty good. And those are the wins you try to navigate. And now, I will also say sometimes we appeal and the school says no. They're entitled to do that. And I think the key, students, if you're listening to this, the key is be a really great student. Because the higher achieving the student is, the more likely the school is to say, hey, we want to reach down and grab that student, right? We want to make it a no-brainer for that student to come to our university. If you're in quadrant 4, low merit, low need, guess what? It's going to be really difficult for you to get any kind of what I always refer to as OPM, other people's money.
You also mentioned in the upstate New York story that you went with other offers from schools.
Yes.
So is competition pretty stiff if it's a good student?
It can be. So, the idea is they are always looking at their peer institutions. So what you don't want to do is say, hey, Stanford, my kid got into Rolling Sands of Idaho University and they're going to give a full ride scholarship. And no offense to Rolling Sands of Idaho University, but
Hmm.
Stanford doesn't care much about that. If you bring in genuine peer institutions, which in the case of Stanford, this is, top 20 schools, and they're giving aid, okay, they're interested. If we used earlier University of Virginia and William and Mary, if William and Mary gives a student $10,000 and the University of Virginia has given them nothing, well, they would consider that. I can't speak for all universities, but I think that's certainly a peer institution. It would be on their radar. They're interested in that. So I think, make a good argument. And the other thing too with appeals is we always encourage families if there are extenuating circumstances. So for example, the FAFSA and the CSS profile both look at what's called prior year. So in other words, we're recording this in 2026. They'd be looking at your income. And well, sorry, I should phrase that a little bit differently. We're looking at this for 2026. And so for students who are going to matriculate in college in the fall of 2027, they're going to look at your income from 2025, right? So it's the prior year. Now, we can't do anything about your income in 2025 now that we're sitting squarely in 2026. But what we can do is if things changed, if a parent lost a job, if there were extenuating medical bills or other scenarios that play into this, we encourage families to explain that to the college or university. Again, no guarantee, but it doesn't hurt to ask the question. Colleges and universities use something called professional judgment, where they can make a determination based on all the circumstances, not just sort of the black and white that is the financial aid forms. They can make a determination, is this student eligible for need-based aid and or merit-based aid at our institution? And that's really the art of good college aid planning that goes into this process.
In your experience, are the folks at the college aid offices approachable?
Usually. Uh, Again, it depends on the institution. We've had a lot of success, though. I always encourage families, look, have your student send an email, reach out by phone. One of the other things that is really a less tangible thing, but is really important. Colleges pay attention to what's called their yield, right? How many students to whom they gave offers actually showed up in the fall? So if we gave offers to 10,000 students and only 700 of them showed up, that's not a very good yield. If we give offers to 5,000 students and 3,200 of them show up, that's a pretty good yield. And that's important. It speaks to the attractiveness of that university. And so what they want to know is, how interested is this student in our school? If we offer them admission, are they going to show up in the fall? And if the answer to that is almost definitely yes, they might be a little bit more willing to give a little bit of money. And so the key is to let the school know that you're interested. Show up, take the tour, go onto the website. I mean, we all click the thing of yes, accept all on my cookies. The colleges are tracking this stuff. They know if your kid or your family is going onto their website. It's a little big brotherish, but it's really important. And they want to know that you're interested. If you're interested, reach out, make a friend in the admissions and or the financial aid office, explain your situation. Again, this gets a little deep. And for most families, this is not something that they do on a daily basis, but this is something that our advisors at the College Funding Coach can really, really help with, because we've done it thousands of times, right? And your situation's unique, but the process is the same. And that's what we want to help families navigate.
Oh, Brock, good stuff. Lots of good information. How can people reach you? Because I'm sure there are parents out there who are saying, I need to talk to this man.
Yeah, fair enough. So Patrice, best thing is through our website. The website is just www.thecollegefundingcoach.org. We've got a Facebook page. So if you search on Facebook for either the College Funding Coach, or we've got a group called Little Known Secrets of Paying for College. Those are just really great resources. And then finally, you can do it the old-fashioned way. You can call our office. which is a toll-free number. I don't even know if people need toll-free numbers anymore, but we have a toll-free number. And that number is 1-800-969-2362. So would love to hear from any of you, even if it's just, hey, a quick question. I'm trying to do this. We've got the experts on this and would love to be a resource for you and your family.
All right, well, follow this podcast, The College Funding Coach, so you know when a new episode is ready for you. And of course, please like and share. I'm Patrice Sikora, and thanks for being with us.